Good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today to walk you through Canva's journey of how we are streamlining secrets management with HashiCorp Vault. A little bit about me. So let me quick intro, sorry. Abbas is the name, secrets is my game. I waited so long to do that. So for those that don't know, Canva is a visual communication suite on a mission to empower the world to design. I joined Canva when it was less than 200 engineers, and I've watched the company grow to over 4,000. It's been a phenomenal journey that strongly aligns with my passion for cloud and security. And I'm based out in Sydney and always eager to connect. So my email, my LinkedIn's there, and you can catch the team and I in the audience after this. Come say hello, don't be shy. So as we dive into the journey, I've broken down this presentation into 6 key parts to explore how far we've come scaling secrets management. I'm going to walk you through the challenges, the requirements, why we chose Vault. I'll give you a glimpse into our journey, the learnings that came out of that, and some of the impact that's had on the business. Before we get straight into the challenges though, I do want to briefly cover off the two legacy secrets management approaches that we had. So the first one was we used AWS KMS. So what an engineer could do was encrypt some sort of secret string with KMS and then put that secret value somewhere, and the application can decrypt it when it was time to use it. The second approach we had was you can store your secret in AWS Secrets Manager and have your application retrieve that when it needed. Application being an actual backend app or even developer tools or whatever it is, really, you can get access to those secrets by either decrypting a value or retrieving it from the store. It's important to acknowledge that despite the challenges I'm about to discuss, these systems did serve their purpose once upon a time, and it was effective. They were practical solutions that met our needs during a much simpler time in our technological evolution. So let's get into it. What were the challenges we had with these approaches? The first one was secret sprawl. So secrets were just everywhere. They were scattered across hundreds of AWS accounts. They were across one password. They were encrypted in a whole bunch of app properties. And in some extreme cases, they've even passed through the developer laptop. So we didn't know where they were stored on a developer laptop. So inconsistent solutions meant the management was unnecessarily complex, and all of this just added business risk. The next pain we had was lots of effort went into key rotation. So we began a couple of years back, we started annually rotating these secrets. Coordinating the annual secrets rotation became a huge exercise for the company. We had to stop what we were working on and we had to just divert engineers away from priorities to mitigate the risks posed by long-lived credentials. The third challenge was secrets reuse. So the same secret was used across multiple environments sometimes. This, of course, increases the risk of widespread exposure if a single secret was compromised. And the reason engineers did this was because it was just too hard to manage the secrets and figure out what to do. It just wasn't clear. On that, sorry, as well. Sometimes when you rotate a shared secret, you don't know what you're going to break, and it could be production. So it's not a good idea to have reused secrets throughout the business. All these manual processes just added more and more risk. Engineers required elevated permissions to create the secrets and even rotate them at times. So that meant higher permissions in AWS, higher permissions in GCP. And then the secrets went through unnecessary touch points like their terminal sometimes, or even 1Password, or the clipboard. So holistically, it was a bad development experience. It was hard, it was time consuming. You'd spend hours trying to figure out how to get access to the keys, how to generate them, where to store them. Should I be using Secrets Manager? Should I be using KMS? What's the right way? On a whole, just too complex and a waste of time. And all of this combined just negatively impacts your development experience and leads to a decreased morale and productivity. As Canva continued to grow, more and more challenges popped up in the compliance domain. So again, the annual key rotation, trying to answer questions like, when was this secret last rotated? This vendor has this questionnaire. Can you find out when X, Y, and Z are done? And you know what I've noticed with compliance? Everyone seems to have a love-hate relationship with it. Everyone hates doing the work, but everyone loves the impact it has on the business. So yeah. What multiplied everyone's dislike towards this, I think, was just the lack of standardization. So we knew we had to get this under control and make this easier for our compliance teams and the other engineers in the business. Another challenge we had was auditability. So as I briefly touched on earlier, like things like who created the secret, how it's being used, when it was last rotated, standardized reports across, just the state of secrets within the business was hard and we couldn't do it. And it's not that we couldn't find all the info. It's just every time we needed to do so, it required a lot of time and a lot of investigation. Another challenge we ran into, and you can see there's a lot of challenges, man, with these legacy solutions. So another challenge we ran into was the engineering culture. We realized quite quickly it wasn't a tech problem, it was a people and process problem too. So at Canva, and I assume like many of your companies, we value speed and innovation. Our engineers are encouraged to iterate fast and often. And this fast-paced environment, and I say this no matter where you are, will lead to risks being introduced when engineers go for the path of least resistance. And finally, the last challenge is the scale we're operating at. So we were, and we still are still rapidly growing. The landscape keeps evolving and we have to keep up. Challenges aren't and weren't limited to one type of workload. It was across the whole org. Secrets were being used across cloud service providers, secrets for acquisitions. Some of the acquisitions are on-prem, some of them are on the cloud. You need to integrate with our SaaS partners. There's all the developer tools. It was just all over the place. And the previous solution was not extensible enough to support all our use cases. So as you can see, we had a lot of things we had to answer for, and this helped shape our requirements. A little bit about Canva's Cloud Platform Group. So our mission is to reduce the complexity burden of using the cloud, and this was our North Star when we were defining these requirements. And based on all the challenges, our first requirement was we wanted a centrally managed store. One system to rule them all, to stop the sprawl. That's the closest thing to a rap you're going to get on stage today. So if you're expecting me to do a Canva style rap, it's not happening. I'm glad you all got that one. High availability and reliability were absolutely non-negotiables. We wanted to maintain trust with our customers, being the other internal engineers. So it was essential that whatever we deployed was secure, was robust, and had zero downtime. It had to support our projected growth as well without any performance degradation or surprises down the track. A self-hosted deployment model worked perfectly for us. It gave us full control. We thought a self-hosted deployment model worked perfectly for us because it gives us full control. And it also means that we can just avoid any third-party dependencies and risks there. And finally, the platform needed to support any workload across any cloud provider. Our second requirement was we wanted to improve the life cycle of a secret. So just-in-time credentials coupled with the lease renew revocation methodology perfectly aligned with our requirements because it enabled short-lived credentials and combined with secrets rotation and versioning, it meant the opportunity window is significantly reduced for any keys that are live. And the life cycle the management of the life cycle just significantly improved. A lot of hours go into provisioning something as simple as Datadog API keys. And when you have 4,000 engineers trying to do that, it's not just better from a security point of view, it becomes an efficiency thing as well. The platform we decided to roll out, or one of the requirements for the platform, was it needed to be testable. We wanted to improve we wanted to make sure we had good reliability, we can automate everything, we can maintain trust with customers, and ultimately we're confident running whatever it is we chose to run. We wanted to make sure each consumer had its own unique secret, so strictly no reuse. Each secret issued followed the principle of least privilege. We wanted clear ownership, which I'll touch on in a sec, and full end-to-end auditability of all the secrets. This requirement, so extensibility and integration flexibility, was one of my personal favorite ones. And I say that because it was so hard finding a vendor that was extensible and integrated with all the use cases that we had. The best way to remove the negative experience with managing secrets was to just get rid of secrets out of the development experience once and for all. Secrets management is a niche subject that requires a strong understanding of the life cycle of a secret. Our goal was to have consumers know about secrets. Our goal was to not have consumers know about secrets. It should be as simple as here's some sort of key, here's some sort of client, plug the key into the client, and the secret's issued to whatever workload's running. Finally, we wanted it to be extensible so we can support all types of secrets across all vendors and across all cloud providers. And we're realistic, right? You're not going to get something out of the box that just works with every single vendor out there, but having the opportunity to extend the application would definitely help us, cover the whole footprint we were after. And our final requirement was auditability, but not just auditability, but self-serve auditability. We didn't want to distract our teams every few weeks with client compliance requests or compliance asks. And so building a platform that could answer these frequently asked questions was essential. So how did HashiCorp meet all these requirements? Why did we choose it? Let me explain why Vault was perfect. First off, it was a centralized secret store. So off the bat, it eliminates the sprawl. It was simpler and more efficient. Just-in-time secrets, secrets on demand, combined with the lease renew revocation methodology, minimized standing privileges and reduced our attack surface significantly. Versioning made it easier to roll back secrets, so it gave us more control over the secret and its life cycle and also improved the audit trail. It could handle our load. So our initial tests, in our initial tests, we figured out that 44,000 operations a second is like the worst case amount of requests we would need and will facilitate our growth for the next few years. So I wanted to make sure whatever we chose can scale out to support this, and Vault delivered. Vault supported the self-hosted deployment model, allowing us to maintain control and minimize external dependencies. But at the same time, they did offer a SaaS offering back then. So just for context, we started this journey about 2 years ago. And knowing that that offering was there meant that in the future, should we decide we need the scalability or operational flexibility, Vault can definitely help us there. But for the time being, we wanted to self-host it. Vault's cloud-agnostic nature also meant it was perfectly fit for our multi-cloud strategy. Vault also offered simple client interfaces. So most recently is Vault Secrets Operator. There's Spring Vault, Lambda layers, a whole bunch of SDKs and more out there. But we assessed all of this and we determined that it was actually enough to meet all our requirements at Canva. And finally, auditability. Vault was extensible enough for us to implement all our auditability requirements and get that automation that we were after. So on a whole, Vault not only enhanced our security posture, but as you can see, it had a lot of potential to improve our operational efficiency as well. So just a brief, I'll show you this briefly. We actually assessed more than just 3 vendors. It was something like 5 or 6 of them, even more. Some of them were specific products that were tailored to the secrets management domain. Others were cloud-native secrets management tools. And none of them comprehensively met all our requirements like Vault did. It was a centralized store, its ability to handle high operational load, the flexible deployment models, integrating seamlessly with a lot of our diverse infrastructure needs, and the best of all, its extensibility made it the perfect choice for Canva. So about our journey. To this point, I've covered off the challenges we've had in the business, the requirements and why we wanted them. Let me walk you through how our journey began. The first step was it began with a Vault Community Edition proof of concept and a design document. Is everyone here familiar with the design document concept? Yep. Say no if you want me to explain it quickly. Cool, so you got me, all right. So a design doc is a document you put together. It really forces you to just think about the why behind what you're trying to do, the what you're trying to solve, and it's an opportunity to collaborate with your peers as well and just make sure you're going down the right track and really test your assumptions. We do that for everything at Canva. So coupled with the Vault Community Edition proof of concept, we wrote the design doc. We managed to rally the business behind why this is a good idea and the problems of what it can solve. We got leadership buy-in, and thus the journey began. Our first step was we had to set up our own EKS cluster to deploy Vault into. So back then, 2 years ago, when we started this journey, no one at Canva was using Kubernetes. We were actually one of the first adopters of Kubernetes. So we had to do it all from scratch. We had to design the foundational components with the goal of it being robust and secure. And the reason we chose to use Kubernetes was because at the time we were discussing migrating all our services to Kubernetes. So we knew it was the future. We thought rather than doing something that's gonna probably take us a year or 2 to set up anyway, and then it'll be outdated by the time it's live, let's just do it on where the company, support the workloads for where the company is going. And in hindsight, it was the right decision. So we designed the foundational infrastructure from the ground up. The goal was to be robust and secure. The team had to learn Kubernetes, and then we began looking into our change management protocols. So we used GitOps for Kubernetes manifests and Terraform to manage the Vault cluster configuration. All of that was a success. We had it going. The goal there was that any subsequent change we released, we wanted to know it's being released reliably, and we can kind of see what the changes were at that point in time. The next challenge we had was testing and observability. So we used Grafana K6, which we've since deprecated and moved over to HashiCorp Vault's benchmark tool to stress test the clusters. We've also written custom synthetics in Golang. So what that is just it's a Golang binary ultimately that allows you to write anything you want in it. And we use it to do end-to-end tests and measure things like latency, operational errors, and the response quality. All the data is pushed into Datadog along with metrics. All the metrics are pushed to Datadog along with the logs. And this whole little system, the logs go to CloudWatch, and this little system allows us to effectively trace through and diagnose any issues. So I'll give you a glimpse into the dashboard and how we collect some of the data. All the Vault cluster, in this example, we monitor test results based on user flow SLOs. So SLOs have all been fine-tuned over time, and we collect even more data in depth to support our development. The reason we chose to use user flows is it gives us a holistic and realistic view of exactly what our customers are going through when they use our service, and thus we're able to actually detect issues in near real time or just about immediately whenever anything doesn't work as intended. Furthermore, here's a subset of the metrics we use to monitor Vault secrets operator in our kube clusters. So we measure things like how often secrets are syncing, the latency, if there's any network or client issues, and there's more. So back to our journey. After testing observability, the next thing was chaos testing, which was breaking components under load to identify weaknesses. I mean, intentionally breaking components under load to identify weaknesses. And this led to our disaster recovery plans. We tried to exhaust various parts of the system. We were very successful in this. We actually managed to burn through all the disk IOPS and the CPU usage of the Vault cluster, and that really helped us understand the limits of the cluster. So we knew how to scale it better for the anticipated load. What we also did as part of chaos testing was, whilst subjecting the cluster to like 12,000 requests a second, we'll do things like randomly terminate the leader node and just see how it recovers, just so we're not caught out by surprise. And you can see the blip in the metrics there, where the failed requests start, but very quickly, because of VSO's retry capabilities, we were able to recover. So it all happened within expectations, and there was nothing to be scared about. Most importantly, it removed the element of surprise for the team. When it came to our disaster recovery plans, we used two different approaches. The first one is we take snapshots and export them to S3. The second one is we use cross-AZ replication. So Community Edition only supports cross-AZ replication. We thought we'd come back to multi-region replication at a later date. These practices also led to some healthy they also helped inform our monthly game day. So what we do in the team now is every month we have a day dedicated to improving the reliability of the cluster, and we just keep learning more and more. And the example I gave before is just one of the many ways we try to break the cluster. There's many other examples of how we've tried to do it. So after chaos testing came connecting the Vault cluster to our AWS footprint, which was made up of hundreds of AWS accounts. We use AWS VPC private link, which supports TLS, and the reason we use that is because of our CIDR overlaps. I'm sure a lot of you here might have the same problem. The issue with that was we only got one-way connectivity, so it meant the client can connect to the Vault cluster and request something, but if the Vault cluster had to connect out to do any rotations, that couldn't happen. But we were happy to accept it for now because we knew that a platform-managed EKS cluster was in the works that solved this problem, so we didn't want to invest too much time in this. It was enough to support our disaster recovery capabilities. We tested it all on a CI pipeline and it worked well. And then began the Vault Enterprise upgrade before we move any production workloads onto this cluster. What we unlocked with the Vault Enterprise upgrade was performance replication, cross-region disaster recovery support. We got enterprise support, off-topic but deserves a worthy mentions PKI capabilities. And overall, the upgrade to Enterprise was a huge success. And as I mentioned earlier, there's the migration to the platform-managed EKS cluster. So our peers in Cloud Compute had spun up a cluster. They were like, hey, if you migrate Vault to our cluster, you don't have to know Kubernetes anymore in the team. We'll make your life so much easier. We were all for it. We migrated over. It reduced the operational burden on the team. It solved our networking problems. They used Cilium to get bidirectional network connectivity, so it meant Vault can connect out now. And that migration was also a success. At this point, we also started embracing dynamic secrets, by deploying plugins and by building and deploying plugins to support just-in-time credentials. We currently use the community plugin for Datadog, so thank you to all the open source contributors there. We're currently developing our own in-house plugin for Cloudflare. We have a whole roadmap and backlog of plugins we want to build out for dynamic secrets, and we're slowly chipping away on that on the side while continuing what we're doing. At this stage as well, we're ready for our first non-critical production workload, and we chose the CI agents, and that was a success. We managed to migrate all the secrets out of CI. As a bonus, we also built our own custom-built authentication plugin. So what happens is when an engineer runs a job in CI to modify our infrastructure, CI is able to do it using the persona of that engineer. So an engineer cannot elevate their permissions because the CI is just using their permissions just in a different way. That was really neat. And that was also a successful migration. Well, successful with one blip that I'll talk about in our learnings. And finally, where we are today, we're currently migrating all the Canva backends. We're currently 40% of the way there. As a Canva backend service is migrated to EKS, it unlocks the secrets capabilities we've rolled out. And yeah, smooth sailing from there. They can then migrate onto our platform. So what comes next after the CBE migration? Well, what comes next? We'll continue the CBE migration. We'll continue the dynamic credentials roadmap. We want to integrate in Slack and build out more workflows to keep developers in the loop and what's happening with their secrets. We want to integrate with all our acquisitions. We want to build out automated reporting capabilities. We want to extend multi-cloud support. Canva does have a bit of GCP there, so we do want to cater for that, and there's a few other systems too. We want to integrate in all the dev tools, and we want to continue writing our own custom providers. And on the side there again, little side note, we want to continue the PKI journey. Let me share with you some noteworthy learnings. These are not in any specific order. So the first one was something we realized was we were on a mission to change the culture, and for the changing culture to succeed, we needed our engineers to trust us. And the way that happens is by building good, reliable products. You saw the roadmap, how much we focused on testing, observability, and chaos testing before even thinking about moving anything into the cluster. And that was all by design to ensure that we don't impact the trust once we begin migrating people's secrets onto our platform. The second tip I have there is get your secret paths early. So remember the CI minor incident I was telling you about? What happened is coincidentally, one engineer decided to rename their CI pipeline and it lost access to all its secrets. The whole thing broke. And we had to go back and revisit secret pathing, and we got it right. So it all works now. To maintain Vault's performance, we ensured that audit logs were handled efficiently by separating the writing and the shipping of logs. Vault is good for secrets. Let it handle secrets. Once it writes the logs, use Fluentbit to export the logs off the cluster. You'd be surprised about the impacts that can have on your Vault cluster. The fourth tip I have is capacity plan for the worst. So it's critical to have a clear understanding of the expected load. We assessed our concurrent peak requests up front, and we built around that. So we know we're able to support it without any performance degradation or any surprises there. On that as well, if you have disaster recovery strategies and you haven't tested them, please make sure you test them annually or frequently. We make sure we're testing our DR processes every year for the Vault cluster, so we know everything works and we're confident about it. The fifth tip I have is choose your storage type carefully. So when we first started this, we tried to use EFS. That was just so complex to maintain, to set up. It was just unnecessarily hard. EBS-backed storage was much easier. And finally, lean on automation. So we leveraged internal tooling to not introduce any risks. Let me give you an example of how we did it. When we started the migration, instead of having the engineer log into Secrets Manager or decrypt something in KMS and then copy paste it into Vault, what we did was we built a script that would scrape that person's persona, what they have access to, what needed to be migrated. It sends a request to our service that we built, and our service does the migration. That means the secret goes from the source to our service in a controlled environment into Vault. It doesn't pass through the developer laptop, so it means you don't need to roll the keys immediately after. So those learnings highlight the importance of planning, performance optimization, and just being creative to maintain the trust. So finally, what did this mean for Canva? So in the top left there, once a secret was migrated to Vault, engineer access to the secret was completely removed. That's one less touch point. This is actually huge. I really want to stress this. We've closed out a whole category of risk in the business by doing this. So it's been phenomenal. We've observed the 87.5% reduction in processes around secrets provisioning. In the past, it was part of a 12-step runbook. You had to talk to several teams. You got to hope your permissions work across the board. Now you talk to one team and things just work. In the last month alone, 1.2 million secrets were issued by a Vault instance reliably. This is truly a testament to Vault's robustness and the careful implementation done by our team. 100% of secrets can now be attributed back to an owner, and it's not just attributed back to an owner, it's the whole audit trail. You can now access the whole audit trail for a secret in a matter of seconds, whereas before you had to hop between multiple systems and figure things out one by one. And lastly, we have a 100% happier security team, compliance team, and our external auditors. To wrap up, I want to thank David, Anthony, Matt, Callie, Rena, Jondre, and Ive, who have all been working part of the Canvas Cloud Security and Compliance team and making this thing come alive. Thank you so much, team. They're in the front here, by the way, so if you want to talk to them after, come around, say hello. From the HashiCorp support side, I really want to thank Rowan and Patrick for their ongoing help. I want to thank the HashiCorp leadership team who've been extremely receptive to our needs and for inviting us to present at HashiDay today. And finally, I want to thank Julian for being an all-round champion and always looking for opportunities for us to collaborate. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed learning about Canva's Vault journey.